FedEx full, we commanding the block. Burgundy and gold, got the city on lock. Hustling plays, ain't no need to pretend. DC reppin' strong and we fight to the end. Command is moving, no breaks, no pause. Hands in the dirt, respecting the call. KDot in the mid, dissect the grind. District divider with a city in mind. Trying to dance why, don't miss a bit. And you gotta spread the words, or shit is shit. KDot.
Welcome, everyone, to District Divide, a DC sports podcast. More specifically, a Washington Commanders podcast. I am Amit. That is KDot. This is the bye-week episode, but we got a lot to talk about. We've got the All-22 review from this last beatdown of the Tennessee Titans, moving our Commanders up to 8-5. Speaking of that record, we currently have the 7th seed in the NFC Playoff Race. We jump into the NFC Playoff Race. We talk about the matchups that some of the teams around us have along with the Commanders. Of course, we talk about the AFC Playoff Race as well. So a little around the league action. We got the Comment Mailbag as we always do. And before we begin this episode, if you could please like the video, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell, comment as you always do, and KDot.
We bow our heads. Grant us the strength to share this word, that the gospel of the grind may be heard. Through District Pride and Commanders Grit, we rise together and share. That is a shit. And share it, baby. And share the shit.
Share the shit.
No, I'm sorry.
Share this shit, please. We greatly appreciate it. Just another wonderful verse from the Gibbs Bible right there. KDot, appreciate it. And so let's go ahead and begin this episode with the All-22 review against the Tennessee Titans, featuring our very own KDot.
It's the All-22 review on District Divided. Bitches!
Absolutely wonderful intro over there. And before we get into this, if this is your first time here for an All-22 review, you got to understand something. KDot doesn't do this like the normal person would, which is maybe one screen, chill. Okay, cool. See that play, whatever. No, he uses a lot of screens. He doesn't use 50. He doesn't use 60. We're talking 70 screens to get all the information you need to be able to understand what happened last week. KDot, over to you. It's the All-22 review against the Tennessee Titans.
Just gonna say, if it's usually your first time, I'm a gentle soul. I'm not like my co-host over here, whose first times involves a lot of cameras, Clarendon Ballroom, some stuff from Bolivia. All right, so All-22, the Titans game. So everybody, this is the resurgence game, right? It's the we're back, baby, right? So like, I had fun watching the All-22 here on this one. I guess everybody was all right. The Cliff Kingsbury resurgence. What's going on with the run game? We know we went 260-something yards, all them touchdowns. It was just looking good. So what was it? Was it Cliff and the team just figured out what it is they were doing and got it all together? Was the execution just on point? Or was Tennessee just a bunch of fucking morons? A little bit of both. I'll get to Tennessee because they're stupid. But like that's something very glaring as far as the matchup when their defense compared to our offense. But the offense, just the execution part of it was on point this game. And I'd also say I thought actually looking at the game that it was actually more complicated as far as the run scheme, right? I don't think they actually did too many very, very complicated things as far as the run scheme did. I just think that they knew what it is that they thought was going to work and they just hammered it home. It felt like a game plan that Cliff we keep talking about Cliff, and I always got to do this, is that we got to kind of take a step back and then also realize like who else is on that coaching staff that also probably deserves their flowers. Anthony Lynn probably being the primary guy. And especially with how they're doing some things in the run game, it's probably a lot Anthony Lynn influenced the more that I think about it. But we're going to say anything Anthony Lynn related is going to go through the Cliff window, right? He's the OC, so it'll be everything through Cliff. Yeah, man. So it was creative as far as the run game, but I think more than anything, they just stuck with what worked. You saw some things come back or make a resurgence that hasn't necessarily been there in the last few weeks. Why that is, I'm not entirely sure. I'm going to say it's mostly probably offensive line health. They just couldn't get the guys to move around the way that they wanted to. But there were three schemes in the run attack that really were our go-tos. The GT counter, which is where you get the 40-yard Brian Robinson play. You get wham, you get trap. Those three things are what it is that we did probably better than any other thing in this particular game. A lot more GT counter than we've seen in the other games. And then who they were using for some of the trap and some of the wham was a little different than what it is they've done in my opinion, in the past.
For those that don't know what GT counter is, do you want to briefly explain that?
So GT counter, I actually wrote some notes as far as that because I thought that actually might be a question. So GT counter is the bread and butter of Cliff Kingsbury's run game. The guard and tackle pull from the backside to the play side, acting as lead blockers, while the quarterback reads the unblocked defensive end to decide whether to hand the ball off or keep the bitch.
Cool.
GT counter.
GT counter.
See, I even wrote I wrote like a little script. So
You're ready. You're ready.
I'll tell you, man, I'm getting in depth. All right. So, like, examples of the GT counter. I wrote that shit too. So Brian Robinson's 40-yard touchdown was a clinic in the GT counter game. Nick Allegretti pulled to the kick out to the edge defender. Brandon Coleman followed, wrapping the second level to seal the linebacker. John Bates worked his way to the safety. Juan Noah Brown blocked the cornerback all the way downfield. The defensive line ran a stunt, but Sam Cosmi and Cornelius Lucas washed their assignments down, creating a massive lane for Robinson. That is execution across the board in GT counter, the best way how. And you know what they did? They did it over and over and over again. You know why? Because I don't know what the fuck Tennessee was doing. They had their defensive ends just fucking spread out. It was basically like, all right, Washington said, all right, so we did this. You saw the GT counter. 40-yard touchdown to Brian Robinson. Your move, Tennessee. Well, we're going to do the same thing we've been doing. Okay, we're going to do it again, Tennessee. You got anything adjustment-wise? No, I think we're going to do it again. Okay.
So feels like a rock, paper, scissors. We throw rock, they throw scissors, and we're just doing that over and over and over and over
again. And then occasionally it was like, all right, the GT counter is still working, but you know what? Let's jazz it up. Let's not make it too evident on tape as far as everything we have. So you know what comes next? Wham, baby. Wham. Wake me up before you go. All right. Are you familiar with that reference? You know who Wham is? God damn it, man. I'm not that much older than you. You got to know who George Michael fucking Wham is, but all right. If you're wondering what Wham is, I wrote that down too. Wham blocks rely on misdirection, leaving a defensive lineman unblocked only to be blindsided by a tight end or an H-back. I know you're liking that, coach. It's designed to create space quickly and neutralize aggressive defensive linemen. So there was a third quarter run. John Bates delivered a perfect wham block on Jeffrey Simmons, the guy who everybody was afraid of, right? Jeffrey Simmons. Took him completely out of the play. There was a lot of that. John Bates was responsible for taking Jeffrey Simmons out of a play, which is awesome. But also, Tennessee is like, if this is your guy, the dude that has your defense working the way that maybe move him, maybe something else. Yeah. No, we're going to never again. We're just going to keep doing the same thing. And then you got tight ends blowing up your star on the defensive line. If I'm Tennessee, I'm like, that is inexcusable. Like, what the fuck led to that, right? But whatever, I ain't complaining. Behind Bates, Tyler Biadash, according to Gruden, and Nick Allegretti walled off the second level, creating clean lane for Chris Rodriguez, who broke that 25-yard run in the third quarter. You remember Rodriguez just fucking went off.
He was great. Yeah.
But yeah, Bates' block caught Simmons completely off guard, and the offensive line working together cohesively gave Rodriguez the runway to break it to the second level. Now, what was the third thing that I said as far as the run game goes, right? Trap, baby. Now, trap. It's not just the M. Night Shyamalan movie with Josh Hartnett that came out earlier this year that is well worth your time and watching. Shit was crazy. In a trap scheme, defensive linemen are intentionally left unblocked. See, trap. Initially, only be blindsided by a pulling lineman. It's a quick hitting run designed to exploit overt aggressive defenders. Jeffrey Simmons is one of those guys. All right. Early in the game, Sam Cosmi would pull to trap Simmons, leaving the all-pro lineman. Yeah, Mr. All-Pro lineman. Off balance and on the ground, bitch. On the ground. Tyler Biadash held the block on the nose tackle while Cornelius Lucas kicked out on the edge defender, creating the lane inside for Robinson to pick up 8 yards. And those are the things. It's like the execution. It's all positive plays. Everybody's just executing at a high level. And you got Tennessee that's just a bunch of dumbasses that didn't want to do anything differently. It's like, when I'm watching the game overall, I love the execution because that's been a thing that I've been talking about, right? We're going back to some of the bread and butter stuff that worked early in the season. GT counter is something that we've been doing at a really high clip early in the season when we were doing all those runs. All right, so you're like, all right, well, Brian Robinson hasn't been healthy. The offensive line has been pretty banged up. Maybe that's the only thing. But you also take into account Tennessee. I don't know what they were thinking. And knowing that they're like a pretty damn good run defense team, what I probably should have did beyond the All-22 was to look back at some of the Tennessee All-22 in some previous games, see what it is they were doing. But your boy had only a few episodes left of the West Wing to complete the series, and I did that instead. All right.
First off, good choice. That's fine. It's a bye week. Secondly, it's funny because I was interacting with Coach on X, and I sent you the breakdown that Coach did as well, and asked Coach to do the exact same thing. Can you please go back and look at some Tennessee stuff to see if this is what they were doing, or did they adjust? Not on that one, I don't believe.
Okay.
And
right,
Coach, if you did, my apologies. I'll check again.
But yeah, it's just when we've been seeing recently is like the offensive lineman has pretty much just been kind of stuck in a rut, I guess, because like you've seen like we come back from the All-22, and I'm just like not impressed with what I'm seeing as far as the offensive lineman, and it's beyond just like from an it feels as though they were concentrating so much on just not fucking things up that they didn't dictate anything on the offensive line standpoint. And once again, I don't know why that is. I don't know if it's because nobody was at 100%. This is maybe the fullest strength that we've had as far as the crew goes. Maybe it's because the running backs are healthier outside of Eckler than they have been in recent weeks, especially Brian Robinson. So maybe they just have a little more oomph. It did feel like overall, I don't know if you got to see the beyond the All-22. Did you see like the mic'd up segments with Frankie Louvu?
A couple clips, yeah.
You remember I was talking about like it seemed as though they were overthinking things.
Yes.
It seemed like they were trying too hard. Effort's not a problem, but they're just trying too hard. And it seems like they get in their own head. I think that's across the board. I think it's the coaching staff all the way down through all the individual players. It felt like in this game, they had fun with it. In this game, they had the attitude. And this game was a lot more about who we are. Did you see the Lions game last night?
Yes, I did.
Your boy was like really, really enjoying what Dan Campbell was doing.
I was going to leave that for after. Yeah.
But I was listening to, because early on or in the game, the comments, they were talking about the fact that like early on in Dan Campbell's time there was a period of time where they were almost like Dan Campbell might get fired because there was a situation where everybody was trying to do too much. It was like everybody was trying so hard not to disappoint the guy next to him or to prove the coaches to this, that, and the other. And they didn't want to let each other down. And they're just trying too hard. And then you're not playing within the flow of the game. Like you've eliminated the not thinking part of it, which is something that our coaches staff has talked about before the season usually start, right? We want to make things so intricate that like they don't have to think
fast.
Just play fast. And it felt as though there was none of that really happening, and they couldn't get into the rhythm that they wanted to do. And no doubt, the run game is what really excelled as far as this game. But the reason I think they were able to get in the run game is something that I was in the preview episode was the quick passing. Jaden did a damn good job in this game. Of course, there were always things like always in every other quarterback that he left on the field that could have been bigger plays, bigger than. But if we're looking at like going through your progressions, taking what it is the defense give you, and doing it decisively. It felt like Jaden Daniels in the first few weeks of the season compared to Jaden Daniels the last few weeks of the season. And then, of course, getting Terry involved as early as they did only opened up more things. Now, once again, Tennessee, I don't understand what the game plan was. They didn't stack the box against the run. I think they expected Jaden to be throwing the ball downfield constantly. And we didn't do that. And I actually think
if I had to guess, knowing how stout Tennessee is against the pass, I feel like they probably are like, hey, this is what we do well. This is how we set up. And our defensive line and linebackers are typically quite good at stopping the run. So let's just assume that works and we'll be able to play the pass defense we always do. It didn't. And I don't think they ended up making an adjustment is what it sounds like.
Yeah, man. Because that's what's glaring to me is that like, yeah, what you're doing is clearly not working. Do something else, guys. Just do something else. They just would never move on to something else. Well, trust me, I know that even in these last few weeks when we've been playing against these good defenses, I've told you there are things that are open. And there are things that we just haven't been going to. Like, why aren't there more slants being run? Why aren't there more just boom bat plays? They introduced those in this situation. They had a lot more second and shorts compared to second and longs in this game. They were able to get into that rhythm. And I got to give Jaden a lot of credit. Also, I think if by far this season, probably his best game as far as the read zone, or the run pass option. a lot of times I do think that it's either too slowly developed, so you can't really make a choice because the defender's in the backfield and like we've telegraphed something. They also talked about this I was actually thinking about in the Lions game last night was Peyton Manning. They were talking about how Peyton Manning used to practice his fakes as far as like play action and things like so that nobody can tell that I think there is some telegraphing that's happening as far as some of the stuff with Jaden. He could just sell it a little bit better, but that'll come, I think, with time. And if he could sell a little bit better, I think that guys won't have to tee off the way it was. But I mean, he read it right, but then also Tennessee did everything they possibly could help to read everything wrong. There were tons of times where Tennessee was like, all right, you need to crash inside and do this. And it felt as though they were so afraid Jaden running out on the edges that they were like, they were kind of trapped in a situation where it's like, we want to run the ball, guys. Like, that's what you need to stop is us running the ball. If you're not going to do that, okay, we'll take it. We will absolutely fucking take it because we're getting like chunks out of this shit. So why not? Fuck it.
Right.
So yeah, that was it. So like, if I were to really do it, like offensively, if I was to say like, okay, I'd say 60% is Washington success, but I'd go a pretty hard 40% Tennessee just being fucking dumb.
Okay. Sounds good. But it's good to get back to the execution bit, keeping stuff simple and having a good game plan against this Tennessee Titans defense. Clearly, we spent a lot of time talking about the run game here. And the reason being, once again, most rushing yards in a game for this Commanders franchise since 2012 in December against Dallas, RG3's rookie year, where Alfred Morris ran for 200. So that's why we spent a lot of time on that and appreciate the breakdown there, KDot. Any final thoughts on the offense before we move to the defense?
Yeah, I got to get, so like the one thing I still think we need some help as far as wide receiver. I don't know what they need to do as far as jazz up the second spot. Do you move De'Ami Brown up the, but is he as consistent as Zacchaeus? I don't know. We need somebody. I like Luke McCaffrey and Ben Sinnott being more involved in this game, and you could see their involvement a lot more in this game. But Noah Brown, and I'd actually give Noah Brown credit for one thing above all other things, and this is where like that comparison to what it is we have with Jahan Dotson, especially in the preseason, they blocked their asses off.
Right.
There were moments in this game where I was like, is that Noah Brown leading Brian Robinson in the hole? The fuck?
No, Noah Brown's a good blocker. There's a reason he plays as much as he does. I mean, he's a decent receiver, but everything else he does is so important to what we do.
He was killing it, man. He was absolutely killing it. Now on the defense, and I'm not going to say a whole lot on the defense, but Marshawn Lattimore is needed, from what I can tell. Sanders still, I thought that they had him kind of playing that St. Juice role. It kind of felt as though like what they were doing, Sanders still was responsible probably for the most in this game. St. Juice, from what I could tell, they were rotating a lot of what he was doing with some of the other guys. And Sanders still got beat a few times, but he's also responsible for like the turnover. So like there are things that are happening with the defense where it's like, okay, some playmakers are starting to emerge. Frankie Louvu is a dude I want to retire in a Commander's uniform. I remember being excited watching the Carolina tape, but Jesus Christ, Lord Almighty, is that dude he's a lifer. We got to make that man a lifer. Like,
yeah, and he's so much more than a heat-seeking missile because the highlights show the explosiveness, how he's able to get to the QB, some big hits, the batted balls, the communication, the run stopping. He does it all. He does it all.
It's basically Frankie Louvu is our version of what Parsons did in that Dallas defense for Dan Quinn. Mm-hmm. They move him around a lot. And it, like I said in the pregame, those tackles suck for them, right? So what do they do with Louvu? A lot of stuff early on in the game is Louvu running up the gut, right? Running inside stuff. They had Louvu all over the fucking place in this game. They had Louvu just be like, go out there and make a play, dude. Just go out there and fucking just make a play. Just go do it. Good that he's emerging even more as that playmaking type of guy. Also, there were some dudes that were playing that I didn't even fucking know who the fuck they were, honestly. Because I was kind of ashamed. I was like, that's that guy's a commander? Okay. I was kind of embarrassed to even bring this up. But like I had to write a couple names down. So like, I don't know who the fuck this guy is. I'm trying to pull it up. The nose tackle, Carl Davis.
Carl Davis. Yeah. Well, he got promoted from the practice squad. So actually, he's the one that ended up beating out Fedarian Mathis this week in practice. Right. And Dan Quinn had mentioned that. Yeah.
Yeah. I was watching too much West Wing, so I didn't catch what was happening in the press conferences. But so I was like, who the fuck is that? That looks good. Like, all right, I guess And ain't nobody from the getting any
for what it's worth, he was just elevated this week for the game.
Cool. So I was like, all right.
Yeah.
That was one day I was like, the fuck is that guy? Who's that? Like,
well, what'd you think of Carl Davis?
I thought he was pretty decent. Like I thought that as far as the defensive line goes, as far as the defense goes, they're starting to really understand who it is and who they are and who can do what. And they're doing a pretty good job of that. I still look at this defense overall and see like some of the struggles that Sanders still had in this game, which is to be expected. What I don't want people to do is he's going to get beat. Be prepared. Be prepared. He's going to get beat. He's a young fucking corner. You don't need to put him in the St. Juice category just yet because he's going to get beat. It's not. I don't need St. Ass Juice or whatever it is you guys want to call him. Like I don't need that for Mikey. Mikey's a rookie, but he's doing a lot of things really good, and he's also the fumble was like that pullout was actually pretty fucking on point.
Recovered it as well.
And recovery. Yeah, so like there's something happening, but like Marshawn Lattimore coming to this team is going to help them dramatically because of what it is they're getting from the second corner position. But I also think because of the game flow, because of the true game flow in this game and what it is the offense did, and because of the mistakes the Titans were doing as far as the self-destructiveness, I don't know if this game is a true reflection of what this defense can do in, like, let's say, adverse situations, but this is what the defense can do in the perfect situation. And before they could deal with adverse situations, you got to take care of the ones that are easier, the ones that kind of go your way. And they did it. And they did it at like a 9 out of 10 sort of level. But if Tennessee was able to lean on Tony Pollard a little bit more because the game was close, I don't know if we're singing the praise of the defense the same way we are. But they were able to just pin their ears back and get creative with just, all right, we're going to attack these motherfuckers. And you saw it got Will Levis completely off. Will Levis is stepping up in the pocket when he doesn't fucking need to. He's seeing ghosts when there are none there. Like they're just fucking it up. So it'll be interesting going the rest of the season. I would just say if you're expecting this level of defensive performance against any other team, just know the game script got to kind of go this way unless a Lattimore somebody comes in and like does something.
You know what I say to that? 3 words. All right. About damn time. Because the defense has been playing well recently, and it's nice to see the offense get back to executing, give them a lead, a comfortable one at that, and let them do their thing. Allow them to make a few mistakes here and there. You said Sanders still can get beat. He's a rookie still, as good as he's been for us. Yeah. Allow room for mistakes for people and to still feel good as a team together. So about damn time, in my opinion, but understood and point taken, right? That it is going to need to be this offense and the cliff. Let's debunk that, right? Make sure we're executing so that the defense, I think we're beginning to learn, KDot, you can correct me if I'm wrong, is good enough to be able to support this offense, to be able to win games.
Yeah. But and this is where it goes. Like Tennessee just did a really bad job in this game. It's like the counter of what like Dallas was doing was like playing above what it is they've done recently, right? Mm-hmm. Tennessee felt like they regressed in this game.
Yeah, 463 yards we got. I mean, yeah, it definitely regressed.
It was just it was a perfect storm of good. But like if I were to say like, all right, what do I take from this game going forward? Like, what can I'd say that if Washington sticks to running the ball the way they did in that quick passing game that's been missing recently, they'll definitely be in a better position offensively than they have been in recent weeks if they could stick to that, right? If these guys are going to execute as far as the blocking the way that they did in this, is it going to be as easy as Tennessee just saying, okay, we're not going to change anything, we're just going to line up and do the same thing every day? Probably not, but it'll put you in the best position. The way that we played in this Tennessee game, if we can stick to this is a playoff contending team.
Well, I like that. And
there are going to be some close games.
Right. It's beginning to lend itself to our very next conversation. So any final thoughts here, KDot, before we move to that?
No, Tennessee, bunch of fucking morons. Cool.
Appreciate that, Tennessee. And appreciate that, KDot. This was the All-22 review featuring our very own KDot. And on to the playoff race we go. Around the league, we don't always get the opportunity to talk about the entire league, so we're pretty excited to do it because we're always so Commander-centric, and we still have a Commander-centric twist to it in terms of the NFC Playoff Race. But now I throw it over to you, KDot, to lead the discussion however you want to. If you want to begin in the NFC and we talk about our playoff chances and the collective playoff chances of many teams, we can do that. If you want to start with the AFC, also totally fine. Up to you.
Let's start with the NFC.
Let's do it. Go ahead.
All right. So everybody can see on the screen, and if you're just listening, well, I guess we'll do the breakdown as far as like who's currently leading the divisions, who's in the wild card. Like, what's the shape of the playoff race right now? As you can see, division leaders right now: Lions, Eagles, Seahawks, Falcons. The wild card teams: Vikings, Packers, and our Commanders. Right here, sitting in the wild card, feeling pretty good about our chances, right? And then in the hunt, the NFC, pretty much it's a bit of a mess. Bucks, Cardinals, my Rams, the 49ers, and the Cowboys, right? And I know you the Panthers ain't there.
Bryce starting to turn around, baby.
He is. And this is one of the reasons why, like, I have some predictions as far as the way that things are going to go.
Okay.
But Detroit last night against Green Bay, hell of a game.
Great game.
And I think that everybody was kind of feeling as though, like, Detroit, with the injuries they've sustained over the course of the last few weeks, especially like Hutchinson going down, I think everybody's still waiting for that shoe to drop for him. Like is it have they become the 49ers and one too many injuries? Like, it's just things got.
William McNeil gets hurt yesterday. Brian Branch goes down at one point. They're already missing basically their entire defensive line. What they've done is nothing short of remarkable.
Right. But they're and you got a Green Bay Packers team ready to fucking set them up. Everybody's like sexy little pick in the Green Bay Packers, and they fall to them. So I still like. It is hard pressed for me to actually look across the NFC landscape and think that anybody currently is better than the Lions. Although, what I want to say above all else is that if there's any team that probably scares me more than any other team, it's still the Philadelphia Eagles, right? The talent standpoint is like through the fucking roof. Yeah, so those are your top two teams. It's just whether or not Philadelphia can play at the same level at which they've been playing and play with the energy. And it feels as though the vibes are starting to get good. Once they've realized the offense runs through Saquon Barkley, it's in those.
I'm going to go ahead and say Philly scares me more than Detroit right now, just because I think both units are very, very good. That defense in particular has impressed everybody in Philadelphia. They've got two rookie corners playing above expectations, in my opinion. Can they get beat? Yes, they're rookies, but right now they're doing very well. And man,
I don't know.
Jalen Carter. What'd you say?
I don't know if Cleon Mitchell's getting beat.
He's been great. He's been great. But like Jalen Carter, just being the game wrecker that he is, also just a game changer in there. Never mind, they may have the league MVP, if not for QB bias and Saquon Barkley, Jalen Hurts, AJ Brown, Devontae Smith. I mean, they're good. They scare me more than the Lions right now.
Yeah, I would just say the Lions to me feel like the team that they're impressively still getting it done. And I could still tell you that I don't think from a talent standpoint, they sniff the Philadelphia Eagles. I don't think there's anybody in the league sniffing the Philadelphia Eagles as far from a talent standpoint. But I think that's been the case maybe 2 years now.
Yeah. So those are the two scariest teams. Do you want to go ahead and discuss the playoff race for like 6, 7, etc., or do you want to do that in a bit? I can tell you what it is that I have. As far as like what it is that I have everything kind of shaken out and like why, maybe, I guess. Sure. Why don't you go ahead and do that? You want me to go about it another way? Because I feel like you're going to attack me about one of these things. No, go ahead. It's totally fine. So once again, the Lions, currently the one seed, that was a big win against the Green Bay Packers because they have now swept the Packers. So now they only need to look over their shoulder for the Minnesota Vikings, who are at 10-2 over their game and a half back from them. Philadelphia Eagles in cruise control in the NFC East, unfortunately, would love to make it a race. But here's the thing. 4 of their last 5 games are at home. 3 of those home games. Oh, yeah. And we'll get to this in just a moment. But 3 of those games for the Philadelphia Eagles at home, they host Carolina this week. They host the New York Giants. They host the Dallas Cowboys. If they take care of business, as talented as they are, that's 13 wins. We can't get to 13 wins. We can get to 12. But that's why I think Philadelphia Eagles are quite comfortably in minimum the 2 seed. The Seahawks in a tight race with the Cardinals and the Rams. The Falcons in a tight race with the Bucks. And so now we can get to the graphic over there, KDot. Appreciate that. So what we have over here, you can see The little 6 by Green Bay means that they are currently the 6th seed. The little 7 by our Commanders means we're currently the 7th seed. The star indicates that they are a division winner as of right now. So that's the Seattle Seahawks and the Atlanta Falcons. The thing I think you guys should pay attention to is that SOS column at the very end. That's their strength of schedule. The higher it is, the tougher the schedule. The lower it is, the easier the schedule. And you could see that. For example, with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, yeah, they're sitting at 6-6, but they get to play the Las Vegas Raiders. They're at the LA Chargers. That's their hardest remaining game. Then they're at Dallas. Who knows who's showing up? Carolina at home, New Orleans Saints at home. That's a much easier schedule than, let's look at the Seattle Seahawks. At Arizona, Green Bay, Minnesota, at Chicago, and at the Los Angeles Rams. So that's how you end up reading this graphic. KDot, talking about the NFC, who do you have as your 1 seed, 2 seed, 3 seed, all the way down to 7, given that information?
Given all that information, my top seed is the Detroit Lions. I think they'll finish with a 14-3 record. So they'll lose 1 more going out.
2 more?
Second seed. Or 2 more?
Yep.
Hold on. Yeah, my bad. Yep, 2 more going out. Because I think they know final week of the season, they've kind of wrapped things up. Okay. Second seed, Philadelphia Eagles. Also 14-3 record. Detroit has 1 tiebreakers.
Detroit has the tiebreaker, correct.
Third seed.
Don't you dare.
The Los Angeles Rams.
Oh
I have them finishing with an identical record to Arizona. I have Seattle taking the step back.
Yeah. And again, seeing that strength of schedule for Seattle, that is a daunting schedule that they have coming up ahead. And this game against the Cardinals is huge. So you have the LA Rams as your 3 seed right now.
I got the LA Rams just winning on tiebreakers against the Arizona Cardinals. Remember, the NFC West is still beating each other up a lot in these final few games. So there's a few things. And look, I'm just going to be honest. Like, if it comes down to the Cards and the Rams, and they got to play to see who's going to fucking win, I'm not picking against Sean McVay. That's just that's how I operate. I also like there's some things on that Rams team that, like, from an injury standpoint, yeah, they've been injured a lot throughout the course of the season, but I think they're finally kind of hitting some things. Like, Puka's good, Cooper's good. They've getting Blake Corum more involved in the offense compared to what it has been with Kyron Williams, who I still think is pretty much a stud. I know that might be even a controversial thing. Defensively, I like them overall. And, like, if I'm looking at the last few games that they played, they haven't lost to anybody that's like a surprise to lose to. They've lost games against teams that have been like, all right, that's a damn good team. And you guys are clearly not 100%. So I like them down the stretch. And just, if I'm looking at it from a historical standpoint, the Rams usually do pretty good down the stretch. Now, do I think they're going to do a lot of damage in the playoffs and be that Super Bowl pick out of the NFC like I wanted them to be at the preseason? No, I don't see that. But I do. I got the winning division. I think it's a real tight race in the NFC West. I don't trust Seattle as much as I trust the other 2 teams. And if I got to pick between those 2, I'm going to go with the one that historically has shown me that they can, and I'm going to go with LA.
Okay. Sounds good.
4 seed. Them dirty birds. Them dirty birds.
There's the bias. There's the bias.
Also finishing with an identical record to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and winning off of the tiebreakers. So, like, that's another, like, once again, it is wishful thinking. Just because I have a bet as far as the order of the NFC South, and I need this bitch to go to hit.
Appreciate the disclaimer.
Which means that the Saints will finish last, motherfuckers. I see the Panthers. I see the Panthers doing.
This is what I needed. Sorry to derail the conversation. This is the Bryce Young I was hoping to see week 1 when everyone was healthy. Not half the defense on IR now. Glad to see it. But geez, man, could you have not helped me look a little smarter earlier on? But anyway, go ahead.
No, I think the big game is I got them beating Tampa Bay in the last week of the season. And when that and so, like, I see that, and I see Carolina being like, yeah, bitches, fuck you.
Played a close one with them at Bank of America. Yeah,
that's what I'm saying. So, like, I think that could play out that way. And you got the Falcons just kind of limping into the playoffs. Whether or not that'll be with Kirk Cousins and Michael Penix, quarterback,
Penix scares me. I hope they stay with Kirk. You know how I feel about it.
I'll talk to you about what it is that I feel about Kirk, but to illuminate the rest of the audience, everybody knows I'm a Captain Kirk guy. Okay.
Yes, you are.
But I think what I undersold was how old he is coming off an Achilles tear.
Same with Rodgers as well. Yeah.
Hold on. I never thought the Rodgers thing was really going to work, even though I kind of bought into the defensive hype to a certain degree.
You picked the New York Jets to win the division. Okay.
Oh, hang on. I know. But I also thought, you remember, I didn't think highly of the rest of the division going into the season.
This is
I
true.
thought Buffalo was going to take a step back.
I also thought that.
That was the most wrong I've been about any team this season has been the Buffalo Bills.
Same here besides Carolina. Go ahead.
And in Miami, I thought that they're just not going to be as good. But I bought the Jets defense. But if you want to go into the history books, you can go and scroll through the Dish Divided archives. I've been talking about Aaron Rodgers and his fucking problems for a very, very long time. Okay?
This is true.
Ahead of the fucking curve. And I also, like I've been saying last year, I still thought alongside last year, and I remember even we had I forget your buddy's name who came on during the draft. He was a Jets fan. And I remember asking
Alon, yes.
Alon. I remember asking him, I said, I really do think that if Aaron Rodgers played last year, there's not a significant difference in the wins and losses. I just don't think the offense is broken. He didn't push back too hard on that, right? He was like, "Well, I'm saying right."
Well, he's a Jets fan,
true.
right?
I just
Quite
broken,
pessimistic. He's broken. You think Rodgers broken? Alon is broken. Anyway, go ahead.
Well, they just don't have an awesome. There's no system. For their
bring us back in because we can talk about it in the AFC. That's on me.
All right.
Bring up Rodgers, but Atlanta Falcons, Kirk Cousins, Michael Penix. What would you like them to do? You have them as your 4 seed. What would you like them to do?
I think at this point you're starting Penix. And the only reason is that, like, I saw the progression with Kirk is that, like, early on the season, there was no zip on the ball. He couldn't do the rollouts the way they needed to work in the offense with their offense coordinator, who I'm blanking on, became from
Zach
LA
Robinson.
to run Zach Robinson to run the a lot of what they did in LA. He couldn't do that. Then there was this like resurgence for a few weeks where it was like, oh shit, Kirk looks good again. And then it went right back to he's old. That Achilles is probably bothering him. Yeah. He needed more rest, and he doesn't look like there's no zip on the ball. His pick sixes are the slowest things on the slowest balls like fucking ever. I know you do, fucker. It's like, to me, it's just physically he's not there. I don't think it's a mental thing. I just think he's physically not there. So to me, it's like, if they could just have someone competently delivering the football and actually give just anyone any fear to not have to stack the box against Bijan Robinson and Tyler Algier, it'll help them. They just need to open some lanes up. That's it.
Okay. So Detroit, Philly, LA Rams, Atlanta, in that order, are your division winners. All right. Wild cards.
5th seed, Minnesota Vikings. 6th seed, Green Bay Packers. NFC North is just a fucking, they're good, guys. Chicago's a mess, but I have them kind of penalty some spoilers for some other guys as it goes down the stretch. And then the 7th seed, your Washington Commanders.
What's our record?
I don't want to say.
Here's the thing, because if you say 10-7, I've got really.
What?
Oh, I thought you shook your head.
No, I'm sorry, I was coughing. That's it.
Okay. Because 10-7, and so I wanted to talk to the audience about this one. KDot, if we could pull the graphic again one more time. 10-7. First off, not as good as what some people are making it out to be. Right. So when we look at Tampa Bay, now KDot does have the Carolina Panthers beating the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, but Tampa finishing at 10-7 is realistic. Right. The Arizona Cardinals, should they not win the division, like KDot's saying, 10-7, also realistic for them. Getting into a 3-way tie with these teams at 10-7 is quite risky. So you want to get to 11-6, and that's taking care of business against the teams you have a better record than. So just want to make that clear. It's also important for us to get to the 6th seed. Very, very important. We've talked about it in the past. A lot of people that you follow, other Commanders, podcasts and radio personalities will talk about how important it is to get the 6th seed, because then you can avoid a Philadelphia in that first round, or you can avoid a Detroit in that first round, whomever it may be, or maybe Minnesota in the first round, and allow a more dangerous, maybe 7-seeded Green Bay Packers to maybe take care of business for you, which would help in the next round potentially. So that's just something to think about as well. But you have us as the 7th seed, KDot. Okay.
I'm running the table. 12-5.
Oh, I like that. As the 7th seed.
Yeah, it just worked out that way.
Because 12-5. Interesting.
Right, because I have Green Bay ending at 13-4. I've got
they run the table. Okay.
I got the Minnesota Vikings finishing at 14-3.
Okay. Got it. So the Vikings win all their games. This is interesting to me. So the Vikings are 14-3 with the loss to Detroit, correct?
Yes.
Okay. So that means they beat your Falcons this week.
Yes.
Okay. The Falcons also lose to us because we run the table.
Yeah, I have the Falcons 9-8. I have them tied with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers at 9-8.
And you have the Bucs losing 2 games, one to the Panthers, and the other 2.
I have to look up.
Chargers probably. Okay.
Yeah,
okay, got it. Interesting. 17 to 12-5. Wow. All right, which would set us up against the Philadelphia Eagles. The only differences I have there, KDot, I do think that Detroit is in such a strong spot that I don't see them giving up the 1 seed. I have Detroit 1, Philly 2. I have the Arizona Cardinals 3. And 4, I do have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers making it. And then 5, 6, 7, I hope we can get the 6. As of right now, I think we're the 7. Minnesota 5, Green Bay 6 is what I currently have. But we'll see.
Yeah,
we'll see. So the only difference I have between the two of us are the division winners in the West and the South. Arizona for me, LA for you, Tampa Bay for me, Atlanta for you. That's the NFC.
Yep.
Any final thoughts there?
Yeah, I'm probably wrong.
I mean, I dig it.
The thing was like going through the games and like looking at some of the stuff. I was like, all right, I was like following narratives, like trying to. I see the Washington. So like to me, it was like Washington has looked so not having fun recently. They're like seeing the Tennessee game and like seeing them not shoot themselves in the foot. I don't think we're blowing anybody out necessarily the rest of the season, but I do think we do enough to win. I think we're the exciting team going into the playoffs. Is like, holy shit, that's it. And then we get fucking demolished in Philly.
Hey, listen, that would still be a very successful season.
I'd fucking love it.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah,
12 wins. The last time, dude. Yeah, I mean, come on. 12 wins would be unbelievable.
I get it. The numbers and everything, but like if I'm looking through, like the NFC North have already beat each other up pretty much going forward, right? So like they get to kind of stack what it is they need to against everybody else, and I like the NFC North compared to everybody else. I just think that there's other divisions that are just going to cannibalize themselves: the NFC West and the NFC South. My
dream scenario is being able to get to that 6th spot again and having specifically Green Bay be the 7 because they have playoff experience from last season. They played a close game with both Philadelphia and Detroit. So them going to one of those places, I think they have some confidence, and you hope they beat one of them because then what that sets up is they go to the 1 seed. So now you're avoiding, if you win, right? You now avoid Detroit and Philadelphia. And that's a dream case where Green Bay gets to play both of them first for you, right? They win that first game and then they go to the 1 seed. That's how dangerous the 7 is. You have to play against both these guys in your best case scenario. So let Green Bay be the team to do that. And then you get to play a Seattle or a LA Rams or an Arizona Cardinals, a Cardinals team you've already beaten before. So that difference is massive because then you're playing the winner of the 4-5. Like it's just so different when you're the 6th seed and you have a dangerous Packers team at the 7. So that's my hope. We'll see. None of that matters. No one's beating Detroit or Philadelphia. Okay, that's your NFC. That's what's gonna. I don't know. I get it. I'm not. Once again, I just saw what Green Bay did against the Detroit team. I just saw what Green Bay did again, in talking to Brendan, his bitch ass, who I'm sure has dropped. He's a huge Packers fan.
Yeah, he's a fucking cocksucker, and I know he dropped a comment in his fucking mailbag because he kept talking about it yesterday.
He has a good comment.
Fuck him. I'm sure it's not good. But all he did last night was bitch about the refs, and I'm like, number one, fuck you, because one of your players assaulted a ref, and then on top of that, the coach was just yelling at refs, so you don't get no calls. Fuck you, cheesehead sons of bitches. I get it, but there are some lapses in fucking Green Bay that are just like, and they got banged up in that game. I'm not telling them to win the Super Bowl. I'm asking them to win one game. Fuck them. All right, let's go to the AFC. I got them winning a game against the LA Rams because they're gonna make the playoffs.
Let's go to the AFC. Where? Oh boy, this is a big one. So, Kate, I'm about to throw it to you. I'll quickly run through what's currently happening, and then over to you. Kansas City Chiefs play a number of close games. They win them all. Then they played the Buffalo Bills. They did not win that one, who were hot on their tail at 10-2, leading. It clinched already the AFC East. That's how bad the AFC East has been this year. Pittsburgh Steelers lead the way at 9-3. Houston Texans 8-5, leading the South. And the wildcard teams currently the LA Chargers, Baltimore Ravens, Denver Broncos led by Bo Nix. Shout out. Excellent rookie season for him in terms of record and some of the numbers as well. Indianapolis Colts are in the hunt. Miami Dolphins in the hunt. KDot, over to you. What do you have over here?
The division leader in the wild cards.
Yep.
That you see on that screen, they don't change. There's no surprise.
Okay.
The Colts aren't making a comeback. The Dolphins aren't coming back. I got the Dolphins. Maybe. Fuck them. But neither of those teams are going to do what it is they need to do. I don't trust Anthony Richardson to do a goddamn thing. And the Miami Dolphins, I just don't know what's going on with those guys. Like I saw them taking a step back, but it's not like they went throughout the large portion of the year without Tua. Get that, but like even with Tua back, just feels like the time is just not where it used to be with them. Every week I put Tyreek Hill in a parlay, and then every week after that, I'm like, why the fuck did you put Tyreek Hill in a parlay? It's like the odds look so good, but then there's a reason the odds look so good. He hasn't done shit. So like, do
you just to quickly jump back for a moment, and then we'll get back to Tyreek Hill and how he's losing you money. 1 through 7, exactly the same as is right now?
No. So seeding.
Okay.
Top seed, Buffalo Bills.
Okay.
I got Buffalo doing the little leapfroggy thing, and the AFC goes to Buffalo.
Okay.
Second seed, I got the Kansas City Chiefs. Now, you'll see whether or not all my predictions will go absolute shit, because actually I got money this week on the LA Chargers beating them. So we'll see.
Which would help the Bills leapfrog these guys. Yep.
Bingo, bango, bongo. Third seed, Baltimore Ravens.
Okay.
Fourth seed, Houston Texans. So those are your division winners. So
you do have Baltimore going on a run.
Yes.
Okay. Baltimore and fourth seed was who? Sorry, I was stuck on Baltimore.
Houston.
Houston makes sense.
Easily wrapping that up.
Got it. Okay. Fifth seed,
Los Angeles Chargers.
Wow. Okay. Sixth seed,
your Pittsburgh Steelers.
Oh boy, what a first round matchup that is.
Most of this is just television. Like I'm doing the matchups I think are going to be the best for playoffs. All right, I can't wait for this shit. I put this together. I'm like, God damn, NFL should hire me to write that script.
That script.
And then, of course, 7th seed, your Denver Broncos and Bo Nix.
And which would be another divisional matchup between Denver and Kansas City for round 1. Okay. Wow. That is Baltimore going on a run.
Run the table.
Yeah, because they have to. They need to beat Pittsburgh first and foremost. They play them one more time, so you have to do that. And then Pittsburgh. Hey, listen, Pittsburgh goes to Philadelphia. They play Kansas City, I want to say. So they've got a tough road, despite starting 9-3. So that coupled with a Baltimore run, that's how that happens right there.
Yep.
That's interesting. I haven't seen the AFC schedule enough, but you feel pretty confident in that? I know you were like, hey, this is just what I want, but do you also feel confident in it?
I feel pretty confident in it. I just think that the weather's getting cold. Derrick Henry's going to get leaned on a bit more than he might have at certain points. Did you see Lamar Jackson's post-game presser last week?
Yes.
Where he was talking about his mom and all that. I think you're going to see the last few weeks is a return to what Lamar does best. I don't think the overthinking aspect of it is going to be there anymore. It's going to be, let's just fucking go. I think the city's sort of feeling it. M&T Bank has been rocking. I think they have an ability to go on a run. And remember, another one of those things that one of those things preseason I got right was I was very high on the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Yes.
And I feel good about that, knowing who it is they are, what it is they've got at the quarterback position. and where it is that I think they'll shake up. Getting into the playoffs alone is a huge thing. And I would say if Pittsburgh's got to go to Baltimore in the playoffs, I don't think at all that that's a wrapped up game for Baltimore. I think they're right in it. Like what it is I think happens in the AFC playoffs is abject chaos. I feel pretty good and confident about what's going to happen in the NFC playoffs as far as like who's going to emerge and what the NFC championship game. I have no idea what's happening in the AFC. The only thing I'm saying in the NFC is that I'm picking the Kansas City Chiefs just because they're the Chiefs, and I don't bet against Patrick Mahomes. I just won't do it. But if the road through the AFC goes through Buffalo and not Kansas City, there's an interesting wrinkle there that I think like opens up a whole can of just exciting shit to watch on Saturdays and Sundays going forward.
Sure. And it also opens up the possibility of Kansas City, Baltimore in the divisional round based on your seeding right now. And so that becomes interesting because it's not a Baltimore-Buffalo thing, which if you're Kansas City, you would love for those two to just play each other. You only have to beat one of them. Right here, Kansas City would have to be both, similar to last year where they did it, just to be clear. So it wouldn't be like, oh, no, we can't do it. They're the Chiefs. They can absolutely do it. But doing it again, it doesn't make it any easier. So
you do it again, it might be the most impressive run they've done.
Actually, yeah, legitimately true. This would be a very interesting. I like your seeding a lot in the AFC. I do hope that happens because the matchups would be really fun. And also the LA Chargers maybe going to Houston, being able to win. You got Baltimore, Kansas City round 2, assuming Baltimore wins that game, and the Chargers against the Bills in Buffalo could be very fun for the way Harbaugh likes to play football. So I don't know. It's exciting to me. Sign me up. That sounds like a great AFC.
No, I'm for it. I wish you were that excited about my NFC picks, but all right.
Well, I just, the LA Rams, you love some Stafford McVay. I get it. I do get it.
It's more than that, though. It's not just. I mean, yeah, I love those guys. There's no getting around it. I do love those guys, but like, they lost against the Eagles. That was a bad loss, 20-37, right?
Mm-hmm.
They lost to the Dolphins, but that was the Dolphins kind of getting back to full strength, and LA wasn't at full strength. But if I'm looking at like since week 7, they beat the Raiders, they beat the Vikings, they beat the Seahawks in overtime, they beat the Patriots. They beat the Saints. It's not anything to write home about at all. But I still think that, like,
they have championship pedigree. I get where you're coming from.
And I think that they can win 3 of these games. They can win 3 of these games.
So, again, it's the sorry to bring up that graphic one more time. It's just easier because I'm trying to do it by, like, this. Okay, there we go. So, Buffalo at San Francisco, at New York Jets, Arizona, Seattle. They would need to win. How many do you have them winning of those 5?
What did I have? I had the Rams. I have them winning 4.
Okay. So, got it. And do you have them beating? Probably not Buffalo then. You probably have them losing to Buffalo.
Losing to Buffalo, but can I see them beating the 49ers? Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Can I see them beating the Jets? I
Absolutely.
can see anyone beating the Jets.
Sure.
Can I see them beating the Cardinals? Those are your matchups, the Cardinals and the Seahawks. If I'm looking at those guys, games on the line, playoff money, pedigree, who am I picking? Sean McVay. That's how I get to the Sean McVay portion of it, is that I look at that and I'm saying, you're in a situation where the NFC West is basically starting their playoffs come week 17. Like the playoffs have begun for the NFC West. And if there's anyone that I'm going to pick that have shown me proven track record to get this thing done, it's him. That's it.
No. Hey, listen, I completely buy that. Any final thoughts on the playoff race and picture before we get to the comment back here, KDot?
No, I think that everything's shaping up really, really, really exciting. Like this has been pretty good. Even though I think that like from a regular season standpoint, the AFC has just not been as fun necessarily. I think that this entire season has been building, and I think this is why you have my seating the way it is. The AFC feels as though all they've been doing is serving as an appetizer of what's to come playoffs. I feel like that's all we've been getting. It's like, yeah, you guys kind of know who's going to get what. Like the surprise team, Denver's pretty much locked it up because the rest of the division's kind of LA. Jim fucking Harbaugh. Like it looks what it is going to look like. And we knew certain divisions would just absolutely suck. The Jets completely shat the bed. So it's like, yeah. Just get ready. Like that's all I mean. It's like just get ready. Just fucking get ready for it.
Yeah. Get ready for it. And I mean, we're buckling up for the tail end of the season. Very excited about it. Fun fact, as we were prepping for this episode, I was looking at the Commanders as well. The last 3 years, including this one, week 14 bye. How's that about? Crazy. Just saying.
I like late buys. At least I like the concept.
I don't
know if they're generally good for a football team.
Well, they haven't been good for us the last 2 years, just to be clear.
Right.
But I was looking at week 14 buys altogether and preferred not to share what I found. So that's going to conclude the playoff picture over here.
It's the only reason I'm very upset about what happened in the Dallas game. I don't like us hitting our fun stride in 1 week after it being bad, and now everybody go home to your shit. I'd rather 2 weeks, like let's sustain something. But hey, I got us run the table.
Hey, if we run the table, look out. And also, let me tell you this. If we run the table, we're not the 7th seed, KDot. I'll tell you that.
I mean, that's what you say.
That is what I say. You're right. But the Packers.
I think the NFC North is legit.
Because that means you have the Packers running the table too.
Yeah.
Amazing. All right, cool. Let's go over to the Comment Mailbag featuring, of course, an intro from our very own Nikki.
Comment Mailbag time, motherfuckers. District divided, ain't got time for no suckers. Spread the word, get in line. OGs and new G's, it's your time. And spread the gospel, cause this shit is divine. Yeah.
All right, thank you as always for that wonderful intro, Nikki. Greatly appreciate it. We're going to go ahead and begin with K-Man60. AKA Zab. Shout out Zab. First quarter was unbelievable. Boy, was it against the Tennessee Titans, up 28-0 in that first quarter. A thing of beauty, kid. I could not have started the game any better than that.
It wrote the script for the rest of the game. And if I'm not mistaken, Caveman was at that game.
Believe so.
Yeah, I think they went. I think they went to the Tennessee game.
A few others.
And a few with a few other guys. Yeah, I mean, the first quarter is what set the tone for the rest of the game. Like I said, if we don't jump out to the lead that we jump out to, the game looks entirely different if they're able to lean on Tony Pollard more, if they don't put everything on Will Levis's shoulders, and if because we're worried about the run game and because we know they're in position to throw the ball, we don't get to pin our ears back, and Frankie Louvu definitely doesn't have the day that he has.
Yeah. We go over to Junior Nemhard. Shout out. The Commanders brought that black Air Force One energy and put belts to asses. If we continue to play our brand of football, no one is fucking with us. Hashtag HTTR, hashtag HTTC, hashtag raise hail. KDot, playing our brand of football, is anyone fucking with us?
Run the table! I will also say this as far as black Air Force One energy. I now 100% say, without any shadow of doubt, the black uniforms are the best uniforms we have. It also saddens me because it's the uniform that reminds me so much less of our team and our history.
Well, right. Yeah.
So it's like, I don't know what's going to happen. We didn't talk about our new team president.
We have not.
Mr. Campbell Soup himself.
Yes.
It does, to me, getting a guy like that, I don't like the whole name change thing, but it does scream rebrand to me.
He's done it before. So it must be said he has done that before. He has led that endeavor.
We'll see. Black Air Force Ones.
And there it is. There it is. We go over to Big Papa Grizzly. Actually, at the very first comment on this, shout out. We shall now read from the Gibbs Bible.
Oh.
The Gospel of Joey T, chapter 24, verse 13.
Amen.
And lo, I say to thee, fear not, for after 3 games, he will rise again.
He rises.
You shall once again feel the radiant glow of victory, most glorious, when Jesus Timothy Daniels delivers another 40 burger to you, his awaiting faithful. See how he multiplies the points so that all may get their fill.
Multiply them!
In Gibbs' name, hail.
We hail. We hail you!
Beautifully done there, Big Papa Grizzly. Thank you for getting a copy of the Gibbs Bible and sharing your favorite verse with us. We appreciate that. Go over to Coach Lombard.
Ooh,
shout out. Challenge accepted. And this is in reference to KDot being like, hey, why don't you go ahead, look at the plays and see if you can predict what we're doing, what side, etc. Coach goes, I charted the first quarter of the Titans game and thought I did okay, guessing run or pass, left or right, and inside or outside. I got it all right about 37% of the time, which was short of my goal of 60%. Get out your reaction.
Yeah, 37 is a little short of 60. It's a little bit. But I will admit that, like, when I watched the All-22, I thought that the success meant that they had a lot of more different wrinkles in the run game than necessarily. But as I was watching the All-22, I'll even go as far as to say I think that there was more diversification in the running earlier this season than it was this game. I think the bread and butter of those three particular schemes we talked about, right? But then outside of that, I think they just stuck with it. There were moments in Tennessee, like I said, was just head-scratchingly, we're not going to adjust. Okay. We're just going to do it again. Why show the rest of our playbook if you're not going to do anything differently?
Right. Yeah, that's fair. And then we go over to D-Smoke. Shout out D-Smoke. That punch you in your fucking mouth was from the heart. KDot, I believe this is something you had said last week. D-Smoke was feeling it because it really did come from the heart. Yeah.
It's our identity. Punch you in your motherfucking mouth. That's what we do. Look, I keep going back to it. I went to this once. I'm going to go back to this right now. Dan Campbell last night in that Thursday night game.
We're going to talk about it after the pod, just to be clear, but go ahead.
Fine. No, I'll stop.
Okay. We go over to Vidno. OG, shout out. Adversity shall come in the playoffs. I believe in JD5. That's one comment. And the other, what are your thoughts on Westbrook-Ikhine? Think we could go after him in the offseason. Buddy is a cheaper, durable T. Higgins, in my opinion. Also, looking ahead of schedule, we are for the Saints week after their win at the New York Giants without their Swiss Army knife and Taysom Hill, who is now done for the year, just to be clear. We got a good chance to beat them comfortably. For whatever reason, I trust this team more on the road than at home, especially in December. We suck at home in December. Speaking of the Giants, they never draft black quarterbacks. It would be an ultimate Giants move if they go get Kirk from Atlanta when they move to Penix in a couple weeks. He looks lost down there. HTTC. KDot, your reaction to the two comments. Always believing in JD5 and the thoughts on Nick Westbrook-Ikhine maybe being an option over here, along with do the Giants, because of their refusal to draft black quarterbacks, do they go after Kirk? So three things there.
Run the table! I don't necessarily love the idea of getting a guy who might be a B or a C class receiver anymore. I think that our team right now is made up of a ton of those kind of guys. Mm-hmm. To me, if you're going to pull somebody that's already under contract or somebody for somebody else, I need to be a stud. I need to be somebody that like is absolutely have a proven track record that elevates everything, that is like a 1A, 1B situation to Terry McLaurin sort of thing, or just rely on the draft. Like that's where I'm at, is like draft a guy, develop and see what it is. I still think Luke McCaffrey needs to be more involved as far as the offense. Maybe it's just because while he does show a lot of effort, his blocking is absolutely not up to par with some of the other guys. Probably just because he's not as big as them. Three. What was the third thing?
Third thing was black quarterbacks, New York Giants, Kirk Cousins.
That'd be fucking hilarious.
It would be.
I think that they're going to clean house there in New York. And if I'm them, the one guy that I keep looking back across the entire league at, that I'm like, somebody's going to get him, and when they get him, it's going to change the entire culture, and they're going to be good. And I think New York's a pretty good fit, is Mike Vrabel. What they do as far as the GM standpoint, there are a few guys that are kind of going around that were sort of sexy names that we had in this particular cycle before Adam Peters relegated all of them to obscurity again in most of our minds. But there are some talented front office guys like around the league. I think the combination of somebody that Vrabel can trust, unlike the people in Tennessee, they could get something really, really cool going. The only other thing that I would say that I would really love, as far as New York goes, I would love to see it, is Bill Belichick.
That would be an interesting one. I want to go back to the Nick Westbrook-Ikhine thing, because I don't know his contract situation, just to be clear. Maybe he is. I don't know. We do know that T. Higgins is going to be a free agent, and is a name that has been floated around a lot. And to some fans, it's their birthright that he comes over here. It's their God-given right that T. Higgins comes to the Washington Commanders. So, KDot, let me ask you this. That Brandon Ayuk deal where we were talking about 4 years, $120 million. Would you be willing to give that to T. Higgins?
I'd be in that ballpark.
Okay, you'd be in that ballpark. What about 4 years, 140?
It's a little high.
Little high. Here's the thing. So we have Terry McLaurin. Paying T. Higgins 4 years, 120. Yeah, could be doable. 4 years, 140. That might be the going rate because there's a team in the New England Patriots that was willing to pay even more to Brandon Ayuk. Ayuk just didn't want to go there. Drake May has shown some promise, and these guys sorely need a number one, and they have a lot of cap space to do it. That's your competition. And I do think that the New England Patriots, because of how badly they need it, may even overpay for a guy like T. Higgins. So are you willing to match that? Is he willing to take a little less to come here instead? These are the questions that just need to come to mind. Maybe he still comes here, but just needs to come to mind when it comes to T. Higgins in that conversation, is that it's going to be expensive, and you got Terry already. Does that deter you from going a bit further like a New England Patriots would? Just want to throw that out there.
The one thing I will never, ever do is think the New England Patriots are in any conversation as far as outbidding anyone for a contract. I think what people need to figure out and realize about New England is that Robert Kraft's a cheap son of a bitch. As much revenue as they pulled in New England, they always try to do it with a bare bones aspect of the way of doing things.
You don't think that was Belichick?
It's Robert Kraft has been a cheap fuck before Bill Belichick. Okay. Belichick coming in and doing what it is he did, knowing that Robert Kraft is not going to sign checks. There's a reason why Tom Brady took pay cuts to get other guys in the building to spread the fucking money around. Look, any other team, you get clever with the salary cap. You figure out ways in which you're doing signing bonuses differently. What the New England Patriot way was take less money. And the reason you take less money is we win. But I don't think that's changed Robert Kraft's dynamic. I think he still thinks I can be cheap and you can win with me being cheap. I just don't think it's going to work out for them. Drake May's a stud. I don't like Jared Mayo, and I don't like a lot of other things they got going.
That's fair. I think the one thing that changes, in my opinion, is Robert Kraft is much older now. So the value of money, what is it? I don't know how much time he has left. He probably just wants to be able to enjoy. That's one thought that maybe comes to mind for me. Another is that they have to be in the overpay business, and maybe he recognizes that, maybe he doesn't. But I don't know that we can definitively stick with what was true in the past in this case, just because there is a talent gap and they want to be able to show off Drake May, and T. Higgins would be a really good person to be able to do that.
Call me wrong if it happens. I just don't think that's in Robert Kraft's DNA. But I understand you got to rock hard for you and your fellow Trumpers. I get it.
No, well, it's also just the Brandon Ayuk story that came out about how they were.
I get it, man. The Trump people, we're not going. It's your guys' time to shine, right? Okay. Your body, my choice. I get it.
You know what? You're gonna love this one. We go to Brendan Nichols. Shout out, KDot. Please explain in detail why your proprietary quarterback projection technique I have named who the most people talk to at Topgolf that suggested JJ McCarthy would be better than Jaden is a valid QB projection method. He's asking you a question.
I don't recall hearing one.
Brendan, that was a good question. We go over to Dennis 2782. Shout out. Just shows how important B-Rob is. Yeah, Chris was really good, Chris Rodriguez, but not B-Rob. Brian Robinson equals wins. We need him down the stretch. Brian Robinson is incredibly important to what we do. We had mentioned some stats around what we do on first down when he's available versus when he's not in the first half. I don't know about different offense, but the way the game is called, statistically quite different. We love Brian Robinson when he's available, and we do ride him. KDot, Brian Robinson to you, how important is he to the offense and what we do?
Crucial. And I think it goes as simple as this. You have a team that lacks talent across all frames. Brian Robinson is in the upper echelon of talented guys. Of course you need him. You need all the talent you can get. So Austin Eckler not being available to be a compliment of Brian Robinson hurts like a motherfucker. Chris Rodriguez and Jeremy Nichols stepping up, especially Chris Rodriguez stepping up in this game. Good job, young man. I'm not relying on you to do that because I know who you are, and I don't think anybody's gonna roll out the red carpet like fucking Tennessee did. You need talent, and like if we're looking across the entire roster. Where would you rank Brian Robinson as far from a talent level? Like you were to rank everybody talent wise on our team. Where would you have?
That's a good question. Talent wise, on our roster, I mean, what's coming to mind for me is top third, but I'm not sure I'm going higher than that.
Offensively, JD5, Terry McLaurin,
Cosme, I'm factoring in the line as well. Yeah, but then it might be, it might just be B-Rob at that point. Yeah, much higher than I thought, actually, as you spelled that out for me.
You need him.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, good point, KDot. Appreciate that. Fourth most talented, make the case for third. We go to Blood Clot.
Oh, no, it goes both ways. It's a reflection of who we are as a team.
Sure, that he is the fourth. Okay, got it. Yeah. Like
if what's that cat's name? Gentry, whatever.
Ashton Genty. Yeah.
If that motherfucker's available,
we are going to disagree there, but I understand. Using the first round pick on a running back. We can talk about that another time. We go over to Blood Clot.
Saquon.
Yeah, I love Saquon. You picked two. Great game. We needed that win in the sense that losing 4 in a row would have been pretty detrimental to morale. But I'm super excited to see Lattimore's revenge game against the Saints. Also, are you guys on Blue Sky yet? Need to share that shit on all platforms. Appreciate the comment there, Blood Clot. We are not on Blue Sky yet, but thank you for the comment. We will be on Blue Sky. So I'm going to go ahead, set that account up for us. We're going to be on Blue Sky. We'll share that over here so that you guys can follow, etc., and we can follow you. And we can continue to share this shit along with the Gibbs Bible. KDot, Lattimore's revenge game, Blue Sky. Your thoughts on the comment not losing 4 in a row? What's your reaction to Blood Clot's comment?
I'm personally on Blue Sky. I've been there for a minute. I just haven't done anything with it. I'm on every social media thing. It's just that I don't do a lot. The only one I actually do any active posting on, and it's not even the one I do the most active posting on is Instagram, and that might be once a month, unless it's something really bothering me. And then I sound like a fucking white suburban chick. It's like posting song lyrics and like, here's deep poems because I'm feeling a certain way. But the West Wing has solved all those things for right now. What the fuck else?
No, I was letting you wing it, and I was also making sure I didn't miss a comment from Jess Santo. Look, Lattimore's revenge game against the Saints.
Lattimore.
He's on track to play.
Fucking play, dude. Like that's
seriously. That's where I'm at. Just log a snap.
Fucking play. Like remember, I shot him bail immediately. I was like, look, I saved that contract if he just gives me 10 games a season. You can't give me 10 games, but you need to give me these 4 so we can run the table.
I was going to say, I don't know that you run the table if Marshawn's still sitting.
No.
Like, you need him. Need him.
We need him. Look, if the defense is getting in a position where we're actually like turning the ball over and doing shit, right? That means some of the other guys stepped up. You need to be able to take care of shit that you need to take care of and no getting blown ass plays. Because that's what hurt us. Like, even in that Tennessee game, as much as they couldn't do shit with the run, Sanders still got beat by a couple chunk plays. Everybody got beat by a couple chunk plays. There are more talented teams in Tennessee offensively that we got to go up against. Figure shit out.
And that was the comment mailbag. This was the show. This was District Divided DC Sports Podcast. More specifically, Washington Commanders Podcast. Thank you guys so much for listening to this bye-week episode, the All-22 review against the Tennessee Titans by KDot, and the NFL playoff picture, NFC Playoff Race, AFC Playoff Race, where KDot thinks the seeding is going to be, where I think the seeding is going to be, and listening to the comment mailbag. And if you enjoyed the episode, please like the video, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell, comment as you always do, and KDot,
rethink your life or your friend situation when you have somebody like Brendan Nichols as a part of your friend group. And then share this shit!
Share this shit. We greatly appreciate you guys. And after the pod, Dan Campbell special begins right now. Get out. Floor is yours. I thought of you on the 4th and inches. And
you got to talk about both calls. You got to talk about both of them.
Go ahead.
The going forward on fourth down in their own 30, or the fuck it was like everybody.
The pitch was insane.
Oh, the play call was fucking stupid.
It was stupid.
It was so stupid.
Need a yard? Well, what if we pitch it back 7 more? See, I mean, that was crazy.
But my thing, like, it happened, and I had Twitter and stuff up as I was like watching the game because I was going through, and everybody immediately, what the fuck? What the fuck was that? The fuck was that? And here's what I noticed: almost 99% of those. I mean, that makes sense just because there are more than Lions fans that exist. We're non-Lions fans, right? I understood it, and I was like, I get it. I get it. Here's the thing: I don't even know if I got the balls to do that, but I respected it. And the thing was, what did Green Bay do? They took advantage of it immediately, scored, took the lead. It was like, oh, they might regret that, right? But what did Dan Campbell do when he had the opportunity at the end of the game, where everyone expected they're just going to kick the field goal? They sent the guys out there. They're trying to get somebody to pull off sides. I never doubted it. I knew. Yeah. I fucking knew. The moment I was like,
it was out of a timeout. The moment the offense came out.
Game now.
Yeah.
But that was the thing. Even with the timeout, everybody was like, are they going to accept the penalty? Just kick a longer field goal? They got faith in Bates? Just know that? Nah. No. We're ending this game. We're ending it now. There's an attitude with that. That's who the Lions are about. Yes. Is it dangerous? Absolutely.
I mean, Goff tripped on the handoff.
Duh. Is it risky? Fuck yeah. But that's how you know. The team didn't question it. I didn't see anybody like, what are we doing? What are we going to do? No, they knew. The only person looking to see if I'm getting the green light was Bates. That was literally the only who was like, are you sending me out? No. All right, cool. I'm staying. All right.
Yeah. Yeah. No,
I love that.
I also love the call. There was certainly some, for me, like you said, I don't know that I have the stones to make that call on 4th and inches. I was watching with Matt Regan, so played some soccer, and then after we went to a bar, we caught the end of the game. And the 4th and 1 where they had the pitch. Look, Matt's a Lions fan. He was like, "What the fuck are we doing?" Especially when he sees the pitch back. 4th and inches. He understands the identity of the team, but he's still like, no way. Like, I think he's so nervous. He's like, just kick the field goal. Like, there's just so much tension. But the thing is, I love that call because the thought is, especially in the modern NFL, when you're going against a good, explosive quarterback that Jordan Love is, and your defense is as banged up as it is, it makes sense to go. And also, that's your team identity. So doubly makes sense to go. That happens. Love can't touch the ball anymore. Kick the field goal as time expires. Thank you for coming. We'll take the sweep. You're now out of the division race. I mean, that's how you do it. That's how you do it. And I don't know if you caught the post game that the Lions put out.
I didn't. I had to watch the final episode of West Wing.
Of course. I will send this to you. You will want to run through a fucking wall. It's a war cry. Like, it's Campbell going, he's talking about pressure and how we live it. And he talks about, tension. We live it. We thrive in it. They lean into discomfort. They lean into difficult. They lean into, we talk about doing hard shit with good people here with the Commanders. They're living it. So I'll send this to you. I'll send it to you on IG. But it was fucking brilliant. Like, you're just going to feel the energy. It's incredible.
I can't wait. I will say there was one thing that did happen right around the post game while I was trying to. So my remote control for my Fire Stick for some reason is not working. I don't feel like buying a new Fire Stick, but it's just remote's not working. So you have an app on your phone that you can pull up, like the Fire TV app, and then use the app as it. But as I was doing that, Brennan at Cocksuck, he sent me a tweet.
Okay.
One of your favorite people. They tweeted Emmanuel Acho.
Oh.
Dan Campbell isn't being aggressive. He's being asinine. The risk of turning the ball over on downs was not worth the 4 yards. Instead of kicking a 39-yard field goal, you risk turning the ball over so you can kick a 35-yard field goal. You know what the animus was? You know what the response was? Acho, you a bitch.
Yeah, no, I agree with that.
I agree with that. And the thing is, like, he couldn't.
I like Shady McCoy, just to be clear.
Okay. He couldn't fathom. He couldn't fathom they wanted to make sure that Jordan Love couldn't touch the ball again. Like that.
That's so important.
If you're so bitch made that you can't
modern NFL in the modern NFL, where these 30 seconds, they would have had 50, by the way. 30 is nothing, even with no timeout. Like, it is just nothing. Like, you're almost guaranteeing a tie. I love what they did. Division on the line, must-win game, inches. Man, we've been built for this exact moment. This is who we are. This is what we do. And the moment you see Laporta go in motion, you're like, it's fucking happening. Like, it's very admirable, and it makes them such a tough out. Just a real quick connection to excellent coaching. Kid, I also sent you the clip from Hard Knocks with Nick Herbig, one of the linebackers and one of the outside linemen at times, and Tomlin the whole week entering that Bengals game, going, Herbig, you're going to be going against Orlando Brown, calling him out in the team meeting and being like, you're going against him. And then as they're stretching, hey, it's going to be you. It's going to be you. He makes the play, and the icing on the cake, and I tweeted this as well, was the end. This wasn't a lightning strike. He brings him over. This wasn't a lightning strike. You belong. This is what you were brought here to do. You embolden a young guy. It's his second year, 4th round pick out of Wisconsin. You embolden him, and that's how you forge a Pittsburgh Steeler. Because now this guy goes, this is who I am. He is getting this confidence over the course of the week. And then after making the play, hey, the reason I'm not going crazy is because I know this is why you're here. This is your job, and you're doing it. You belong. And that gave me more chills even than the Dan Campbell stuff. Like, just that level of individual coaching. You can see why Tomlin has not had a losing season. It's marvelous to watch. So just want to make the connection with the excellent coaching between Dan Campbell and Mike Tomlin, putting on clinics at the team level and individual level.
It's what you do organizationally to have the mantra, to understand what it means to play like that team that you're a part of, right? To know expectations here are higher than the other places you have been. You can't just be a good football player. You've got to be a good Steeler. You can't just be a good football player. You got to be a good Lion. Not even good. You got to be great at this shit. And what we expect of you is this level of play. Our expectation is we're not waiting to see what the opposing team does to do X, Y, and Z. We are going to win this game. And when you have that in your mind, the expectation raises for everybody, and you're going to execute at a higher clip than anybody else is going to do that. It's why I love it. Going back to our Commanders, it's why early on the season, when we were going on that 4th down run, I'm like, it's become an expectation. You see on 4th down a level of confidence in this team you might not even see on 1st or 2nd down sometimes. They know we're going to fucking get that. My only issue was it felt as though as the season progressed and we start doing that, well, we need to win this game. We don't want to lose this game. You get the mixed messaging, you lose it. Stick with the plan. Stick with it.
Let it be a word of caution, too, because Brandon Staley initially was the go for it guy, the analytics guy, along with Dan.
And that
it stopped working for a little bit. He got wishy-washy.
Yep.
The thing with the early 4th downs, the reason I liked it, initially I wasn't even thinking identity. I was literally just like, hey, we are finally an analytics team, because the 4th downs we were going for made sense. They were like, just intuitively, you're like, I don't want Joe Burrow to get the ball. For example, against Cincinnati, we did multiple 4th down conversions. I want us to drive. Touchdowns win this game, not field goals. Right? As we got deeper into the season, sometimes we'd go for it when the analytics said kick. And I was like, okay, so maybe we're not an analytics team. This is the identity. Fine. It's annoying, but fine. This is our identity. Maybe it works long-term. That's great. I like, the short-term success, obviously. But then there are other places where it makes sense to go and we're kicking. And now you're just like, okay, now I don't know what's going on. So this bye week, I hope they're reflecting on that and what the 4th down strategy is, the identity, to your point. How are we doing? Sort of a check-in. How are we doing on the things that are we playing fast? Are we doing hardship with good people? And are we achieving our identity in this first year of their recalibration? I hope they're doing that.
It simplifies. It boils things down to the simple. And when you can focus on the simple, you can do your job at a clip that you usually can't do in other fucking fields. Like, look, I push back on some of the analytics stuff when it comes to the NFL. I think analytics works for certain aspects of things, but I do think that we've gone a little too overboard with analytics. The same way I feel as though polling has gone way too overboard when it comes to election cycles, right? So, like, in baseball, I understand relying on analytics a whole lot because the data set you have is so fucking massive that you can start running certain parallels, lines and stuff. But with football and the chaotic nature of it, same way I started to feel about basketball with certain aspects of it, right? Shooting or taking certain shots, if you're going to do it at a certain volume, work from an analytical standpoint, but it might not work for you when you need to get 2 points in the game's on the line. I think about the psychological, right? So in an NFL game, when I look at that Lions game, right, I think, and I know there's no way to prove this. It's all subjective, but it's what I believe, right?
Yeah.
And I don't like to say believe a lot because I think believe has this expectation of just saying I think things. If they don't, that fourth down that they went on, that I don't think there's anybody on the planet other than Dan Campbell that would have went for it. I posit to you, if they had picked it up, maybe they don't pick up the one later. There's a thing where if you've set the expectations on a certain level and you don't get it, the anger that the team feels that we've let ourselves down might play into the next drive, might play into the next sort of get the situation. It is a change of mentality. It's not looking or trying to find a clipboard to figure out what it is we're doing. It's you're willing things into existence.
So the simplistic example there would be, I'll be damned if we fail to convert 2 straight fourth downs, bringing that anger from the prior miss to the next
it's
play.
Not Dan Campbell. It's Dan Campbell has it, but every single one of the players feel it. They feel that. It's not like we're beating ourselves up. It's so fuck that. I was supposed to have that. I didn't get. Are you fucking kidding me? It's those players on the sideline saying, "Coach, you gotta give us another fucking opportunity to do that shit. We're not. There's no chance we're gonna let that stuff happen again." That's what I want from a football team. I want, as it was so eloquently said by myself in last episode, punch you in your fucking mouth.
D-Smoke loves
That's what football is. It's what football is sometimes.
Of course.
Right?
Listen.
It's fuck the analytics. I'm going to run the ball down your fucking throat. You know why? Because I'm more man than you. I'm better than you. That's what I'm going to do.
I'm 5'11", 165, and do numbers for a living. Data analyst. I want to run the fucking ball. That's where I'm at. Like, listen, analytics be damned. All right. Run the ball. Run the ball. Impose your will, because then everything opens up. Everything opens up as a result of it. And then the confidence increases for fourth down. So we're on the same page there. Completely on the same page over there.
So it's just, to me, it's like that's what I saw Washington. What it looked like to me was Washington was skewing the way I wanted it to be. And here's the thing. It doesn't even have to be that, right? Like, it doesn't have to be go for fourth down all the time. I just thought that that's what we were doing. I thought that, like, to me, it fit the mantra. It fit everything else that we were trying to do. It made sense to me. I now started to comprehend in my own mind, not even being a part. I'm not an Ashburn, but I started even figuring out, wow, that's what it means to play like a commander. That's what that means.
But they told us we would be able to see it too.
Right. Yeah. But then the moment that I start feeling like, oh man, we got to make this move. We can't lose this one. I'm like, fuck you. That's not us. That ain't commander shit. I know what commander stuff look like. That ain't it.
Well, I mean, the thing that was, and this is why the bye week's so important, and we'll wrap up on this because we're hitting an hour and a half here. The fourth down against Philly, I know you love that we went for it because we were talking about identity, right? And how important that is to set. And on fourth down, the expectation is we get it. That's what we do. I wanted to kick that one. The very next week, we get the fourth and short, and it's 2 yards or a 51-yard field goal, and they kick it. Right. And you and I both hate that decision. We're both like, all right, go. Like, what are you doing? Cyber misses the kick. Even if he had made it, disagree with the decision. Just a dumb decision, in my opinion. Touchdowns, not field goals, will win these games. The Lions have figured that out. You've got other teams figuring that out as well. If you want to compete, you got to figure that out. That's a very, very important part of this culture as well. So echoing your sentiments there, KDot.
the only. I think as the season goes on and we've seen what we've seen, and we've seen the national hype, we probably got the offensive rookie of the year on our team. We're seeing certain things kind of happen. I think what always needs to be in the forefront of our mind, we are playing right now with house money. No one's getting fired after this offseason. No one's getting fired after this offseason. There's no one in the front
never
office.
were.
Right. They weren't regardless of, but no one's getting fired, right? The most we're going to do is look across this roster, and what these players need to know is I get to play with reckless abandon because this is my opportunity to be here for something special. I want to be here continuing, right? So you know what that does? There is nothing more important than establishing who the fuck we are this particular season going forward. There is nothing more important than that.
Amen. Any final thoughts before we wrap up here, KDot?
Brennan's a bitch.
We'll see you guys later. Until then, enjoy the weekend. Enjoy this football weekend where lots of important games. And we'll see you on the other side of it. So until then, take it easy.
Bye, everybody.
In DC, we're just hoping that you listen.